socially acceptable state names to name your child. In green, it would be socially acceptable, and in red, what the fuck? Why would you do this to your child? Now, if you don't know the states of Australia, this could be a little confusing. The only socially acceptable one is Victoria. The rest would be a little bit weird. Imagine calling your daughter Western Australia. I don't think Lord Howe Island is that bad. Or maybe imagine this, you're just screaming at your child, Australian Capital Territory, get over! No, unironically though, I don't think Tasmania is that bad. If they did cities, it would be a bit different. Maybe Darwin as well. Now I want to make this same map, but for US states. Imagine naming your son Ohio. But Virginia and Georgia, I think, are right. Come on, man. Who would win this hypothetical war? In green, the Amish. In red, the Mormons. So the Holy Land for the Mormons is Utah, clearly, and then everything else surrounding Utah. But then there's the Amish, who are sprinkled all throughout the US, specifically in the East. I don't know exactly who would win this war, but I know who would rebuild faster than everyone else. The only problem is, like, what do the Amish use? Like, muskets? Issue is the Mormons basically just run with bicycle divisions. So many bicycle divisions. We haven't seen a clash this big since the 90s. East Coast versus West Coast rap. Keep in mind, around 70% of Mormon population are children. So bike divisions along with child soldiers? This definitely evens the odds since the Amish don't use a whole lot of technology. I actually don't know who would win this war. I feel like the Amish would also be great guerrilla fighters fighting in like the fields and forests. Who would win this hypothetical war? Each section contains exactly 10% of the world's population. So though this green side is huge, it still contains the exact same amount of people as the blue side, the red side, the yellow side. They are a little bit more cornered off, which would be maybe easier for them, like geographically speaking, to launch invasions. Like blue here is all scattered. There's no way they're gonna win. Definitely the war between the yellow and green strip would maybe be the most chaotic. Or definitely this red and this green, this would really be bloody as well. I bet you Europe's red has a pretty good chance of kicking everyone out here and then just like extending their empire to control the center because, you know, blue's too split up. This is gonna get taken over by the green. Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. Meanwhile, the Philippines, I like their shot too though, and they have South Korea. Parts of China, not a whole lot, but there's still a lot of people that live there. This is looking pretty good, but they need to like export the Australians up to the north to fight on the front lines. This map is so old it has a united Sudan. I feel like not enough people are considering the geography that each point controls, even though it has the same amount of people. Why couldn't Napoleon and Hilter cross this little strip of sea? Are they stupid or something? Did they not know how boats worked? It is kind of funny considering that both aren't necessarily known for their navy capabilities. They both really wanted to cross the English Channel, they just couldn't find a way to do it, and the Brits totally loved that because then they'd be in Kent, a fate worse than death. There's literally a tunnel there. Are they stupid? Imagine not knowing about the channel, bruv. We built that like so long ago, like 30 years. You would think Napoleon and Hilter would have known all the way back in 1994. Why can't we make a canal through Europe to connect the Mediterranean to the Baltic Sea? It would surely be helpful for the Suez ships and many job opportunities. All we have to do is nuke the crap out of Slovenia, Australia, Czechia, and this part of Germany, and bam, voila, we got it. Imagine being a ship from the Suez, and if you want to go to Finland, you got to go all the way around Portugal and Spain. That's lame. What else are we using the nukes for? We've got thousands of them just laying around. Let's give it a shot. What should I name this hypothetical empire? Not only do we have the old borders of the Ottoman Empire here, but also all of the Arabian Peninsula, Egypt, Iran as well, stretching all the way to India and Bangladesh, and grabbing all of East Asia too. This actually looks very familiar. There's been multiple places that have kind of looked like this throughout history. Alexander the Great's, okay, that's one. Bob, that's better. I like that one. It's red, so it's clearly the Roman Empire. It definitely could be considered Byzantium. Why don't these countries unite? They have such similar names. Are they stupid or something? Yes, Iraq and Iran. That would make a lot of confused Americans less confused. You can call them Iranak or something. I like how randomly Kuwait is in the circle. They definitely tried this multiple times to unite these two countries against the other country's will. Interesting times there. Funny enough, their two names actually have very different origin stories, interestingly. Choose literally any frame and then decide who would win this hypothetical war. This is from this really incredible artwork where I don't even know how they did it, but I'm amazed by it. The first time I watched it though, I was thinking of playing this game. Sometimes the hypothetical wars are like pretty one-sided. I feel like black has a pretty good chance here. Well, black is like guaranteed here. Who would win this hypothetical war? And we try to find it out literally every day. A lot of game board enthusiasts, but you don't necessarily have to be. This is definitely the map for a Risk board game. You can get Australia, but you're only getting 2 extra units per turn because of that. My go-to is usually North America, so I'm gonna pick them, I think. I'm starting to think none of y'all play Risk. Yeah, that might go over a lot of people's heads if you didn't. Which country would be the best country to create this empire? It's almost like a country controls an entire continent, a controversial continent known as Eurasia, but an entire continent nonetheless. I mean, Mongolia kind of did this minus all the islands, and I guess the European continent. This would probably be the hardest country to make. We could make like a country that controls Africa. There's already a country that controls all of Australia. Oh, is this whole thing a 1980 1984 joke. Kazakhstan's probably the best contender. Who would win this hypothetical war? We have the nation of Oceania in black, also Eurasia and East Asia over here. Finally, all this territory that's disputed. You know, I feel like we've been trying to answer this question of who would win this hypothetical war since, like, I don't know, I want to say since the year 1984. Funny enough, 1984 actually came out in 1949 though. This is probably the joke I make the most on my channel, the 1984 joke. But it is kind of funny because I know so many people in my personal life that are rereading that book or reading that book for the first time. It's still so relevant to this day. You can find a lot of themes that are still relevant to this day. It's just crazy. Nice try. We've always been at war with East Asia. Oceania is only a few days away from a major breakthrough on the front. I've been saying that for several decades now. Does your country have mommy issues or daddy issues? Is this based off a certain language? I knew that Russia's the motherland, but I thought Germany was the fatherland. I'm not even supposed to be reading this map like this, but literally everybody in the comments is just talking about how this map is incredibly wrong. Either way, all countries clearly have mommy issues or daddy issues, I guess. Here's a map showing what if Germany lost World War II. To be more specific, it's actually a map showing if Germany lost World War I and World War II. Imagine taking two giant L's like that. I don't think I'd even be able to show my face anymore. I think I would just give up. This is the most unrealistic scenario because, like, there's no way Germany would still be around after losing two big world wars. Why would everyone allow that? It's also interesting because a lot of other countries had their borders changed just because Germany lost their own world wars. How does that work? That's what I was gonna say. USSR Yugoslavia? That doesn't make any sense. They wouldn't just disappear like that. I don't have concrete lore yet, of course. Another lazy map. What is the UK doing in India? Why would the British ever come to India? Again, more just massive map mistakes. Difference here though is this looks to be like Google Maps. Google, you can't be making mistakes like this. India probably despises the UK after the whole colonization thing. Why would they give them their own territory up here like this? This literally makes no sense. Another typical geography question. Why don't many people live in this part of the world? Again, I really need answers. It's just so confusing trying to figure out why exactly humans try to settle where they settle and then they don't settle in other places. I mean, if you ask me, this looks like a perfectly livable area. I would love to just set up a camp right here, maybe like drill into the ground, start like a water well. Something that tells me that water would be a little bit spicy. I might turn into the Hulk after that. Is it just because it's too close to Belarus? I mean, I guess that would make sense. That or it probably has bad Wi-Fi. Oh, here it is. Socially acceptable state names to name your child. This is someone else's version. They do agree that Georgia and Virginia are acceptable. Carolina, yes. Do we have to put the north and south part in there? I guess. If you have twins, you call one north, one south. This is a way more in-depth chart though because we have more than one category. We still have the what the freak category though. New Mexico. I guess that would be weird. I don't think Utah, see, I don't know if I agree with this list as much. Is Utah that bad of a name? I mean, it is not great. I knew a girl named Nevada. You probably named someone California too. Cali. I could see like a big old white dude named Kentucky. Washington, D.C. would be, it'd get a little bit more strange there. Maryland. I don't know what the founding fathers were thinking when we were first naming the 13 colonies. These are all weak. It's like they were intentionally trying to get no one to name their kids after the states in the north, but in the south, they were going to make bangers. These are part of the 13 original colonies, so they were like, okay, these guys, cool. They made the worst and then the best all together. Who names their kid North Dakota? If I ever meet somebody named California, I'm reporting them to the police. I just want more maps like this. I bet you the British might have some interesting ones. I mean, there's definitely one coming to mind. Where's Sussex? To my patrons this month, thank you. Lucas, the Canadian Goose from Avoca. ZaneyBoi, Sarsath. I cannot sleep without Amateur Archaeology, aPhatNarwhal, Connor, DaBeautiful-MEGAN, Fredrik Tibblin, KansasWasMentioned, KingBearHaze, Lucas, Prentice, LuxembourgLover, and the Tambre 760.